Okie dokie, so it is 6 o'clock in the morning for me. I still haven't slept. This is how dedicated I am to our education here. So we opened up Yapped. Yep, this is the next step. We're gonna go to File. We're gonna go to Elden Ring. Make sure it's Elden Ring. And then we're gonna go to Open, and we're gonna go back to a mod folder. And this is super important that you do not touch the actual games folder. All right. This is strictly for the mod folder. Otherwise, I can guarantee you'll never get online again. We're going to go to the mod, and then you can see the regulation.bin, which you probably have if you have installed any mods before. And it takes a second because this is a lot. I mean, I'm not even joking. This is a lot of information. I tried to manually update every single one of these, and you don't even want to know how long it took before I gave up. Anyway, so that will allow us to see the actual files and the parameters of weapons. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to take that dildo sword and well, we're going to fix the hitbox because I made it bigger, but it still uses the same hitbox as before. And if it's that much bigger, I mean, it just makes sense to be able to hit things that much better. Now, I've got to warn you, the parameters, there's a lot of stuff. I'm not even kidding. Like, there are so many things that you could change. This is strictly like you just got to figure it out. Just got to keep changing things until it makes sense. If you find a way to keep track of what you've changed and what you haven't, it'll help you tremendously. All right, so let's get into it. As we talked about before, it is always smart to keep a backup of a file. In this case, I don't think the regulation file is backed up in any sort of way. And if you're going to be messing with these things and you have no idea what's going to happen, I highly recommend you save a backup. Okay, so the first thing I just thought to look at would have been equipment parameter for a weapon or something like that. So we get these three windows. We get the first window, which will tell us what parameter we're going to change. The second window will tell us what is the exact parameter. So in this case, we're looking for a great sword. Um, and then in the third window is the individual values attached to the great sword, attached to the base parameter that we're trying to mess with. A cool thing to note is back when we got our Yabber or Yapped file, my bad, I saved the rest of the files in this little thing, open it up, and there's a lot of documentation to explain where the location of stuff is. In this case, I'm trying to figure out where the great sword is because that is what the dildo replaced. And I don't really see anything in here. This seems to be all unique weapons and um, just different upgrades. Oh, actually, I may be wrong. Um, I think I do see the base version if I can get there. Oh, Control F definitely helps, but in the case of a sword that's named Greatsword, it's pretty stupid. All right, so we do have the base version of the Greatsword, which its number is 4 million. Um, I'm sure I probably could have found that uh, easily, but I just wanted to show that that file does have locations of some things. So there's going to be some things that don't have a name located next to it, but in this case it did. And we're going to go to 4 million and find that great sword. So we have found the great sword, and now I'm just messing with some of these parameters. You can see that it scrolls quite a bit. Mess with whatever you want. I don't have an exact idea of what every single individual piece does, because you got to keep in mind some of this isn't meant for this game alone. Some of it could be meant for Dark Souls 3, for example, such as repair costs. We don't have repair in Elden Ring, so we don't have to worry. One of the random things that I decided to add was just to see if I could get the dildo to be a torch equivalent. It'd be awesome to see if the dildo glue in the dark. But that's not the purpose of this. I just needed to increase the hitbox radius. So one of the other parameters I thought would work, and keep in mind you could always reverse engineer someone else's work if they have managed to find a way to do it successful. And that would easily be finding an equivalent mod, like an equivalent change, um, and another mod, which there are a lot of mods out right now, and then just looking into their CSV files, or the regulation files, just trying to figure out what they changed specifically. In this case, I found that another parameter I would have to change would be located in the attack parameter underscore PC. And this would, I just assume it would mean player case. Um, and the NPC one would be, I guess, a neutral player or not a real player at all. Now, uh, there's just a lot of options here. I wasn't exactly sure what does what, but I did manage to find a way to sort of alter the heavy attack. So I don't know if the first batch is heavy and the second is light. I really don't understand. There's just a lot of options. And like I said, just keep messing with it until you figure out exactly the right mix that you're looking for. Um, and there's obviously, as you can see, multiple lists you can go through pertaining to whatever parameter you need to look up. Since it is a dildo sword, I feel like it doesn't have to be super realistic. So I changed 5 and I changed this to 4 and I changed the knockback to 40. And I've got to say the knockback thing was a little weird when I finally did test it, and I'll show you what I mean here. Um, but when you are done editing whatever you think you need to edit, uh, just feel free to click File and then click Save, and that'll update the regulation file. Then open up Steam, then make sure you launch the Mod Engine 2.0 Elden Ring version. I did decide to alter all of these other parameters because I'm not exactly sure what the difference is, but uh, I just felt like it was safer. Anyway, let's go ahead and see what the results are. So, like we discussed earlier, these settings um, on the texture were only, wow, that knocked me back. That's really weird that it's knocking me back and not knocking the characters back. But like I said, I wasn't able to save the Blender file per se on this specific sword. However, the lightsaber, it worked perfectly fine. I wanted to make an extra long lightsaber, and it did work um, through Blender. However, on here, I had to specifically use flavor. Uh, and I know that's not how you say the name, but it's just, you know what I'm talking about when I say flavor. So, yeah, so I try to use the light attack. The light attack seems to not have changed at all. The heavy attack The heavy attack definitely changed. It seems like everybody is dying when I use this, which is pretty nuts. And it seems that if anything is blocked, which the terrain actually causes a blocking thing, it'll send me back. So if my blade bounces off something, I'll go flying. It'll knock off this, sent me flying back, almost crashed the game. And to double check, I tried over here, but it went through it, killed that motherfucker. It doesn't have crazy range, so sometimes it seems to be accurate on the range. Sometimes I don't know. This is weird. But yeah, it bounces me whenever I hit a wall or something like that. But the whole point of this was to show you how to use Yapped, um, as it's definitely going to be necessary if you make any size changes or if you want to make specific detailed changes to a weapon or armor or literally anything in the game. All right, guys. See you next time.